Right, we are pretty much on top of our game here, so it's time to start some defences. Now my preferred method is to dig a trench around my base. At least it is when I am building a very large base like this, where I've got valuable pastured animals like llamas. I want to make sure that we can keep the llamas safe as well as the dwarves, so I'm going to dig a trench. Oh, let's see. So channeling, of course, we need to start on the highest layer first. So let's get that going. Designate channel. We've removed all of the trees in the area. Alt M for box select. And we want to go from here to here. I'm just looking at this. We've got a very small area that's higher than the rest of the land. I might even choose to channel down to make it flat. Now to do that I would need to remove the trees first, so let's get all of these trees chopped here. Okay, so then we want to channel right up to the edge there and right up to the edge there. Let's get the miners working on the trench. Now they do channel remarkably quickly. It's going to take quite a while for the dwarves to dig out the whole of the trench across all of the layers that I want them to dig out. So what I'm going to do is to give you some time lapses and some sped up footage while we just talk about the kinds of enemies that we need to worry about. Every so now and then we'll go back to ordinary speed, interspersed with some of the commentary that I did while we were actually digging out the trench. If we go down a layer, we can actually see the miners at work. The reason why I'm building this trench 8 tiles wide is because if we have a tree that grows on the edge of our island and a tree that grows on the far side of the trench, and those trees grow outwards towards each other, there is a risk that the trees will touch and will create a bridge. A lot of creatures like weirbeasts can just climb a tree and will walk across the tree bridge and will jump down. By creating a trench that is 8 tiles wide, we don't need to worry about trees touching and forming a bridge. What I would like to do is to get some hatch covers placed. I've asked the mason to make some hatch covers, so let's put them here. I'll just help to stop anything from wandering into our main base once we actually move into it. Right, and let's carry on with the rest of the defences. Okay, it looks like they've finished channeling out that area. It's important when you channel over several layers that you just double check and make sure that everything was picked up, because it's not always obvious, but if it misses a bit, if there was some reason why they couldn't channel down, they'll just skip it, and then when you go to channel beneath it you'll get a collapse. Now what about over here? Oh yeah, look at that, there's a few there that need to come down. But before I can channel that bit, we need to take down that tree. Alright, and now we can move to channeling the rest of that little area, and that's the first layer of the trench built. So now we can go down a layer. So that's nice that they're hitting some ores. We've obviously hit a stone. Oh, look at all of this. That's all magmatite. Magmatite is iron. That's very good. Now, what do I mean by defences? Well, there are several threats to us in Dwarf Fortress, even in a relatively peaceful biome like we have here. And the defences that I'm looking at and the design of this fortress is all based around having a peaceful biome. So bear in mind that if you are in a more dangerous biome, you would want to start defences much earlier, and you would go for something much smaller so that you could defend yourself much more quickly. So we can deal with the threats in two ways. We can either develop our military and fight them off, which is kind of what we did with the Coaties in the early days. We went out and we killed them. But in the early days of the fortress, most of the things that we're worried about, we probably can't develop a military early enough to be able to withstand. There are two types of aggressors that we need to worry about. There are the building destroyers and the non-building destroyers. Most attackers, such as wild animal people, goblins, humans, elves, they can't destroy a door. So a simple door or a simple hatch can keep the enemy outside your base and you could turtle inside. The only thing then you'd have to worry about is they'd probably slaughter all of your animals outside. But there are some creatures which can destroy buildings. Werebeasts are one of those creatures. The goblins bring trolls, and trolls can also destroy doors. And so what we're looking for is a defense design which can stop them from getting to us in the first place and can protect our animals. And where we don't need to rely on doors and hatches to keep building destroyers out. Now in the first instance, we will use doors and hatches to protect ourselves because they will protect us against the majority of attackers. I'm going with the design of digging a trench around an area that I'm claiming as ours for our dwarves. Most enemies can climb the sides of a wall. So walls in and of themselves are not a good defensive structure. However, if you build an overhang, they can't climb up the wall and then under the ceiling and then up a further wall. So that overhang will prevent anything from climbing over a wall. However, walls are quite slow to build, and if you want to claim a large area, dwarves are much faster at digging out a trench than they are at building a wall. So my defensive design tends to rely on digging a trench around the area and then digging underneath the trench so that I create an overhang. This is far faster than building a wall. Now we need to leave at least a 3 tile wide bridge over from the outside of the trench to the inside of the trench so that the traders can still get onto our island and off our island. We will replace the trade depot that's on the surface with a trade depot underground and then remove that bridge, and we'll try and do that before the end of winter. But for the moment we need that bridge.
Autumn is at hand.
So what do we need to worry about? Well, depending on where you are in the world, there are several types of aggressors that you need to worry about. Now, the first threat that we're likely to face is aggressive wild animals. They can already be here when our dwarves arrive. We haven't had too much of a worry about this because our biome isn't particularly dangerous. In savage biomes, it's quite common that the wild animals and the animal people around you could become immediate threats to your dwarves. There are the enemy civilizations. Goblins are almost always at war with you. Now, goblins are not going to be interested in attacking you until you have a certain level of wealth in your base and until you have a population of around about 80 dwarves. That's when the goblins see that you have enough stuff in your base that you're worth raiding. Elves and humans don't usually become enemies until much later in the game, so we don't need to worry about them early on. Now, one thing that is different is towers. If you are embarked very close to a necromancer tower, the necromancer may not directly target you, but that necromancer may well be waging a war with another civilization, and there is always a risk that at any point in time the necromancer army might just wander into your embark tile just because they were on their way somewhere else. And if this happens, there is every chance that they will abort their original war and come and attack you instead. So if you are very close to a tower, even if the biome that you're in is peaceful, you're still at risk of imminent attack from a tower. Now, they might not attack for years, but it might be that on day 2 you have undead soldiers wandering into your area and immediately turning aggressive on you. The threats that we are probably going to face first here is werebeasts. Now, before the latest update, I found that I would have a werebeast stumble onto my embark area before the end of the first winter, probably one in every 3 games that I played. Now, that has changed with the 0.47 update. That's because werebeasts used to be attracted to your fortress when you had a population in excess of 20 plus a certain amount of wealth. That's changed now so that the trigger is 50 dwarves. Now, you're still not going to get werebeasts magically appear unless they happen to be in the area. Werebeasts are created as part of the history. The werebeast disease will spread. So the longer the history of the world that you're in, the more likely you are to get an early werebeast attack. The shorter the history, the longer it's likely to take. And this is just about random chance as to how far away the nearest werebeast is to your fortress. And so how long it will take them to become attracted to your fortress area. I am channeling the edge of that murky pool there, which will cause the water to flood into the trench. But once it's flooded in, it'll drain the pool and then the water will evaporate. It won't pose a risk to our dwarves, and then I'll just throw up a wall at the edge to stop the water from continuing to drain into the trench as it refills with the rain. And the reason why we want to secure this pond is because every time it rains, this pond will fill up a little bit. And so we will constantly get a dribble of water down here. And ideally we'd like to dig this down to the stone layer so that we don't have any risk of trees growing in the trench. Okay, as soon as these traders leave, I'm going to remove the ramp that connects the trade depot to our island, and we're going to make our island into a true island. Okay, the traders have all gone on their merry way, so now let's channel down, starting at the top to make sure we haven't missed anything. We'll start taking it out from there. Now that does leave us with a risk that our dwarves might not be able to get back up onto the island, so we need to start making another pathway both in and out of the trench and in and out of the other side of the trench. So let's have a think about where I want that to be. Okay, what we're going to do here, now that we've got the fancy shape all at the right level, is instead of channeling, I'm going to dig this. We're going to dig one in. So what this will do is it'll cause an undercut. It'll mean that at this layer, there'll be an overhang above. Take it up to there. I won't go any further past. There we go. Let's just make sure I got all of the bottom here. No, I didn't. Okay, so we'll get the miners to mine that out. And that means that anything that can climb won't be able to climb up onto our island. And now we're going to channel down one last level but we're also going to channel where we've undercut. Right, I'm doing this back part first because I want to make sure that we have one piece of land that is at its final level, and this is as far down as we'll go. So if we head down there, this is it. This is our final level. And now that we're down at the final level, I'll be able to put a way of getting in and out of the trench once we seal off the island. So that's the next thing that we'll do before we carry on digging out the rest of the trench. Okay, so I've done a bit of planning, and what we're going to do is dig a little inset just here. So let's take it off marker, we'll put it onto standard, and then we'll dig from here to there. Right, let's get some miners on the case. Okay, and now what we're going to do is dig a downstair. And this is going to be the way out of the trench and into our main base. Immediately beneath that, we're going to have an up-down stair that's going to go down 2 layers to there. And then immediately below it, we have an upstairs here. And then just down a corridor, we have another upstairs. So let's dig out the corridor as well. And then where that second upstairs is, immediately above it, we have a downstairs. Okay, and what this is going to do for us is give us a bit of a U-bend. And that's because things that can destroy hatches can only destroy them when they're under their feet. They can't destroy them when they're over their head. So it gives us a secure way to make sure that we can restrict very quickly who is coming in and out of the base. Okay, but we're going to need to connect that to the rest of the base. I could just toggle all of this, but I think we'll just do it this way. Okay, our fastest way to get to the rest of the base is going to be through here. Right, now I am going to toggle, so we'll toggle that one. Right, that's going to keep our miners busy for a little while. Let's see how they get on with that. Okay, so they've built the upstairs, and now we have a downstairs there. So what we can do here is to build a floor hatch there, and then one here as well. So that's B for build, capital H for hatch. Okay, and the miners are busy digging their way forwards there, so they'll soon connect up to the rest of the base. And to give us access to the outside of the base, we're going to do exactly the same thing. So we'll dig a downstairs here to the outside of the trench, and then underneath it will be up downstairs from here all the way down to much deeper staircase this time to there. Beneath that will be an upstairs, and then one next to it, the other side of the U-bend, and immediately above it will be a downstairs, and then we'll put some corridors in. Let's do the corridor beneath first, and then we'll connect this corridor up here. Let's see, we can just take that through to there for the moment. We'll be digging out all of these rooms in due course. Here come the miners. There'll be other miners working outside probably. Okay, and so now we can build a floor hatch over there. And if we go up to the surface, here comes the miner dwarf to dig the surface one. And we can build a hatch there. Now I'm going to remove this ramp now, but that's going to give them problems getting in and out of this storage room here. So I think what we'll do is we'll just channel a little bit here. That'll give them a ramp. Oh, winter is upon us.
Has come.
Okay, so now we've done that, we can safely start to remove this area here. Okay, so now let's channel down a bit further. Okay, now down here, we want them to mine this area rather than to channel it. There we go. So that gives us our overhang. So if we have a look up here, we can see that the wall is sticking out that far, but underneath that's an empty space. So that means that now our base should be secure from anything trying to climb the walls, and we will make that one deeper. I've got the dwarves working their way round. We'll get them channel a bit more. And because this is taking it down to stone, it means that we don't have the problem of trees growing in our trench. It would be nice to get an early warning that something had come down through one of those hatches. If they snuck through the hatch, would we know? Not necessarily. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a zone here, and we're going to make that a pen pasture, and we're going to bring one of those puppies down. There's a puppy. We only need one. Actually, we've got 2 males and 2 females, so let's bring 2 of each for the moment then. Okay, so we'll have a male and a female there, and then we'll set up another one here, also pen pasture, and we'll bring down that second pair of puppies. So there's the female and there's the male. Okay, and the dwarves are now using that as a way in and out of the trench. Right, we've built a wall across where the muddy pool was, so we don't need to worry about this flooding anymore. Now there is the temptation to fill a trench like this with water and turn it into a moat because it looks pretty, but there are quite a number of creatures who can swim. So if you do want to fill it with water, make sure that your overhang is above the water level. For a creature that can swim, if the overhang is under the water level, it's as if that overhang didn't exist. Now the trench won't be a particularly safe place to be, but it's certainly going to be safer than being outside of the trench. Now this sandy area here, trees can grow there, so we might need to lay floors. Right, so now that the dwarves have finished digging down here, to make this more secure, what we can do is remove the ramps, and we remove the ramps by going D and Z. So we want to remove all of the ramps around our trench. So ramps act very much like stairs. They allow dwarves and other animals to climb from one Z level to another. And they also have this annoying flashing thing going on when there's something on top of them as well. So removing them will also cut down on the amount of annoying flashing, which is always a good thing. Okay, we have 4 idlers. That means that our mining dwarves should have removed all the ramps. Oh, except those, because I forgot to tell them to do it. So it's nearly the end of winter, and we have our base nicely secured from any attackers, including building destroyers. We have the problem that we've made the trade depot inaccessible to traders who bring wagons, so our next job is going to be to build an underground trade depot and a secure way for traders to enter our base. We'll look at that in the next episode. The only thing we need to worry about at the moment is attackers who fly. There are several mega beasts that can fly and are also building destroyers, so we're not completely secure, but they are very rare, and I aim to make the base secure from the air within the first year or 2. So I hope you enjoyed that episode, and if you have any clever ideas about defences, or if you prefer walls over trenches, let me know in the comments, and I'll share those comments in a future episode. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.